All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number one. That is right, week number one of your 7314 class, which is your reference class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Alston. And what we are going to be doing in this first check-in video is we are going to have a course overview. I'm going to tell you about the syllabus that you're going to be abiding by, about the modules that you will have, about the assignments that you'll have, and a few other things, including learning a little bit about me. So we have a lot to do in this video. This video is going to be a long video, and I am from the rural South, so I do suggest that you speed me up because I speak slowly like a lot of rural Southerners. So I will show you how to speed up a YouTube video in one moment. But before we get into that, just one other thing that I want to say. Hold on. All right, so before I show you all how to speed up a check-in video or any YouTube video, what I want to do first is just let you know something that is a caveat and a important caveat, especially for this particular class. And that is this. Actually, I'm going to read this whole announcement that I just put in the course a few minutes ago. So I'm going to read this whole thing, and then I am going to, no, I'm not going to read the whole thing. All right, just change my mind. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what I am going to do is read part of it. And the part that I am reading is something that you really need to know. So actually, I am going to read these two parts here. The first thing, reading announcements is mandatory. Again, reading announcements is mandatory because I've had problems in the past with students who did not read the announcements and then decided that they, despite the fact that they weren't reading course content, decided that I had somehow done something wrong in not telling them everything they need to know. So please pay attention here. This is my main avenue of communication with my students, and you will miss important information if you do not read them. So read these announcements, including this welcome message, which is already in the course. There may be additional links in some of the announcements, but the announcements themselves, there may be optional links in some of the announcements, but the announcements themselves are mandatory to read. The mandatory nature of reading course announcements in the syllabus, which serves as something of a contract that you will agree to by taking this course. So if you miss important information that was in the course announcement and it negatively impacts your performance or your grade, I will not have much sympathy for you. Okay, so that's something I want you all to know right out of the gate. Again, I am not going to, you are in grad school. You are not children. I am not going to be following after you to tell you to do your work. I am not going to be taking time out of my busy schedule to run after any irresponsible student. You will get all of the information that you need from this course, either by contacting me or by the announcements. I won't say that you'll get all the information you'll need from the announcements, but you'll get a lot of the information that you need in this course from these announcements. So you do have to read them. That's a big deal. And the second thing that I want to say, and then we'll talk about how to speed up a video, but you may already know how, but the second part is also very important. You need to do your introductions forum space by clicking this link here. You need to do that by Sunday, June the 8th, okay? That needs to be done very quickly so that I can get you a partner for one of your assignments, for your first written assignment. I use the introductions forum to determine who your partners are going to be for your virtual reference practice assignment. And the sooner y'all get this done, the sooner I can finalize those assignments. But they will be finalized on June the 9th, come hell or high water. So please do it by June 8th if you want to get the best possible partner situation for yourself. This is a summer course and there is not much time to do that introduction. So again, have it done by Sunday, June the 8th. Or I will just throw you with another person and I won't care what your time zones are and you'll have to figure that out. Okay. All right. Now, with all that said, I am going to go ahead and show you all how to speed up a YouTube video. And that way you can kind of speed me up. And then watching the videos shouldn't be quite as torturous. All right. Give me one moment. All right. Now I'll put these instructions in the course announcement via a link as well. But I do also just want to quickly show my students how to actually speed up a YouTube video. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to YouTube in this browser here. And when we get to YouTube, we don't necessarily need to have any particular thing. Let me see if, all right, pause, let me find something. Okay, so now I've got a video that I can kind of demonstrate this on. So I am going to show you all this method of speeding up a video. So when you go to YouTube, you've got any video. As you can see, this video is in normal speed.
Hit grab.
And then what you can do is you can go to settings and go to playback speed, and this is how you talk this. Usually you can speed me up.
Very forgiving.
Usually you can speed me up to 1.5 and still catch everything I'm saying because I am so slow when I speak. So you can speed me up to 1.5 and you'll see the video.
Significant knife. What if you hit the forearm or here, you know? You're going to get something. That's pretty good. You still have that.
So as you can see, he's speaking faster now. They're moving faster now.
Here it is. Give me that. Nice grab. Hit the hand. Hit him.
So of course, if I were to go up to 2,
Hit.
now they're going really fast. And then if I were to do 0.25, now they're going in slow motion. Okay? So that's how you speed up a YouTube video. And again, my students are usually able to speed me up to 1.5 speed and still understand everything I'm saying. So that is what I recommend you all do in that way. Because if you want to watch the videos, I do want you all to watch the videos, but I know that if the videos are kind of lingering on and it seems like I'm talking too slow and it's torturing you, then you're not going to watch the entire thing. So yes, that's why I teach the students how to actually speed up the videos. All right. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and get into the course and what's going to be expected of you this semester. Give me one moment. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is do kind of a walkthrough through the syllabus. So let's go ahead and go to the syllabus now. All right, so this is Information Science and Learning Technology 7314, Reference Sources and Services for the summer of 2025. Thank you for joining me. I am glad to have you all. And we are going to learn a lot. Now, I am going to say this, and this is also something that you might not necessarily like, but Dr. Jace keeps it real. So, one thing that I want you all to know is that this is going to be it's going to be a very weird course to take during the summer, just to be honest with you. So for those of you who don't know, a summer course is basically a normal course in the spring and fall is 15 weeks long. Summer courses are 8 weeks long. So what happens is each summer class pretty much, if it's adapted from a 15-week class, then a lot of times summer classes are basically just 2 weeks of work each week. Okay. And that does kind of, students have, a lot of times students will pan me, to be quite honest with you. They will pan me in the student evaluation saying, hey, this is not a good course to take during the summer. You're fitting these 2 weeks of work into every week, which again, that's kind of standard for summer classes. But people are like, this is not a class that really lends itself all that well to doing these, these 2 weeks of work every single week. And to that, all I have to say is, I'm sorry. But the truth of the matter is this is, for one thing, any summer class is going to have an intense sort of speed to it and an intense sort of rate to it. And you all are joining a required class for the summer. And yes, I have a lot of information that ALA, the American Library Association, says that I have to teach you all for competency. And so that is what I'm going to do. And in order to get through it in 8 weeks, we have to condense some things, and things are going to be a little crazy, a little hectic, a little hurried, and a little uncomfortable. But you are getting a required class out of the way in 8 weeks instead of 15 weeks. So that is your trade-off. So take it for what it is. But let's go ahead and jump into this syllabus. About the course: class description, principles, developments, and trends in reference services, reference service organization, and print and online reference sources. This class is also an overview of information needs and searching. As far as your instructor, that will be me. My name is Dr. Jason Alston, aka Dr. Jace, which is what most students call me. You can also call me Jace, or you can call me Jason, or you can call me Dr. Alston, or, those are pretty much the things that I get called, but most people call me Dr. Jace. I am an associate teaching professor. I have been promoted one notch to associate from assistant. I can be reached by email at alstonj@missouri.edu, and then also my work phone is 816-235-1875. However, I strongly, and I do mean strongly, recommend that you all reach out to me via email if you need to reach me. Phone is just not the greatest way to reach me because usually I'm not really in my office. I'm kind of out and about doing things. And so with that said, if you try to call me, yes, I will get a voicemail in my inbox, my email inbox, but at the same time, we start playing phone tag, and that is never fun for anybody. Office hours are by appointment. We can meet in various ways, including by phone, in person, or via Skype or Zoom. Actually, we're just going to go ahead with Zoom. I don't use Skype anymore for any of this stuff. I am stationed at UMKC, so I am not in Columbia. I am actually in Kansas City, and I have an office on the campus of UMKC in Kansas City. That office is in the Miller-Nichols Library, room 122K. All right. Okay, let's move on. So the course overview. One of the primary tasks of librarianship is locating information and making it available to people who are seeking that information. This course gives you experience using some of the principal tools for seeking information and the criteria necessary to evaluate those tools. And those tools do include print reference books, subscription databases, and the open web. You will need to use all of these things, and you'll learn about the reference interviews, search strategies to use within reference tools, library use instruction, and how reference services are being reorganized. The primary goal of this course is to introduce you to the basic reference sources and services found in libraries and information centers. This course will also acquaint you with the history and philosophy of reference resources, services, and management. All right, so if you got all that, basically in a nutshell, this course is teaching you how to work with people. And that is apparently my strong suit, at least more so than a lot of other librarians. So and typically I am not a people person, but in the field of librarianship, I qualify as a people person because I am way more willing to talk to people than a lot of librarians are. So I have always worked in public services within libraries, and I am here to try to help you get started in that arena as well. As far as student learning outcomes, and this is important because it has to do with your e-portfolio, which you will do at your in your last semester in the program, your last spring or your last fall. If you graduate during a summer, you will do it during your last spring. But student learning outcomes, we have basically 4 SLOs or student learning outcomes, and really the assignments more so, I know I have SLO 3 up there, but the assignments in this class more so correspond with SLO 4, which is our peoplely SLO. And that SLO, I'll read it out loud, is graduates will be able to assess community needs, formulate plans to respond to users of information agencies, and instruct users in using informational resources, okay? So again, users, communities, that sort of thing. We are talking about SLO 4, again, is talking about the more human side of library work. All right, course goals and assignments that correspond with them. So the first course goal, students are able to use tools that communicate information effectively to the public. And in order to assess that goal, your assignment will be a LibGuide. We will talk about all these assignments later on in the video. So I'm just going to name the assignment for right now, but the LibGuide will help you with course goal number 1. Course goal number 2, students are aware of information seeking habits and are able to adapt their communication to meet the needs of the public. The assignment that I will use to assess that will be the Wikipedia editing assignment. Course goal number 3, students can use common online platforms to complete a thorough reference interview. The assignment that we will use to assess that will be virtual reference practice and report. Finally, there is a 4th course goal, and that course goal is students are able to use and evaluate reference materials and find the answers to factual questions. The assignment for that course goal is going to be your semester-long project, which is already available. And again, we will talk about that and all the assignments a bit later on in this video. So again, I hope you sped the video up. All right, assignments. First of all, I do want you all to know that there are 2 assignments that I will be checking for APA formatting and whether or not it is correct. Those are going to be the virtual reference practice and paper and the Wikipedia edit assignment. These 2 13-point assignments are going to be assignments where you will lose points if your APA isn't formatted properly. But don't worry, I am going to have a check-in video next week about APA formatting. So you will not miss out on that, and you will, I assure you, format properly. At least I hope so. I will say this every semester. I do have students who, when I do that check-in video about APA formatting, I do have every semester students who I say in that announcement, I say, hey, if you are not sure that you are competent in APA, then what you need to do is watch this check-in video because it's going to have 2 common mistakes in it. But I always say, if you are not confident that you know, then watch the check-in video. And people every single year overestimate their competence in APA, and then they wind up getting that question. I mean, they wind up losing points for improper APA citation on the virtual reference practice paper, and then they get it right on the Wikipedia edit assignment so that they don't lose more points. That's typically how it goes. But hopefully we can avoid any sort of issues like that in here. All right. So what are you getting points for? What are your assignments? First of all, you have a syllabus quiz. That baby in the summer is worth 5 points. It'll be due on June the 8th at 11:59 p.m. and June 8th is Sunday. All of your discussion board prompts are due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m. as well as all of your assignments except for the semester-long project, which will be due on July 25th at 11:59 p.m., July 25th being a Friday, okay? Now, I am not somebody who's just going to be waiting at the computer at 11:59 p.m. and then deducting points if you don't have it turned in before the clock strikes 12. Basically, you've got a little bit of a grace period to the point where as long as you get those assignments in before I wake up on Monday morning, you're not going to lose points, okay? So that's the way I want you all to look at it. Don't think that you've got to rush and beat the clock at 11:59 p.m. and that if you are still working on it and you turn it in at like 12:05 a.m. on a Monday morning, that you're going to lose points for being 5 minutes late. You're not, okay? I am not that petty. I'm not going to do that to you. All right, let's keep going. So that syllabus quiz, that's going to be the first thing. All of your answers are going to be in the syllabus. And I do also want you all to know that I do go ahead and review all of the questions, okay? So if you get a little uncomfortable, like if something happens, like you get a question that's marked wrong or something like that and you got it right, or if you don't have your full points once you turn it in, it's saying something like needs to be reviewed or something like that by instructor, don't worry, I'm going to do that, all right? So I may even just send a message once all of the grades, once all of the syllabus quizzes are graded, I might just send a message so that everybody can be a little bit at ease, but I don't want you all to panic. When you first turn the syllabus quiz in, it may give you a grade of 0 out of 5. That is an automatically generated grade. Do not worry about it. I will fix it. All right. The database unassignment, that is going to be worth 10 points. That'll be due on Sunday, June the 15th at 11:59 p.m. So you've got 2 weeks to do that one. And that one isn't a big deal. Again, we will go into it. There is a format that you will follow and everything. Virtual reference practice and paper, that's going to be due on June 22nd. And that's why you all have to get your introductory post done as soon as possible so that I can pair you with a partner. It is impossible to do that assignment without a partner. I repeat, it is impossible to do this assignment without a partner. So you do have to do the things that I told you to do so that you can get assigned a partner. Please, every semester I have at least one person who doesn't follow up, doesn't do the reading of the announcements, and doesn't do that particular discussion board prompt that I tell them to do. And then they get frustrated when they're scurrying to find a partner, or they're having to lose points because they waited around and now everything's late and so forth and so on. Just go ahead and do the introductory post as soon as possible. And that way you will not run into any of those issues. Okay. Wikipedia edit assignment, also worth 13 points, and that'll be due on July the 6th. We do have 7 discussion board prompts, and each discussion board prompt is worth 2 points. So that's going to be a total of 14 points. We will talk about that a little more in a bit. The LibGuide is your big baby that's going to be worth 25 points. And then finally, your semester-long project will be worth 20 points. The LibGuide will be due on July 20th, and the semester-long project will be due on July the 25th. So you've got 100 possible points you can get, and I am hoping that everybody gets all 100 points possible. Let's see if you can do it. All right. As far as your textbook, you do have a textbook in this class. It is the Castle and Higher Math 2022 textbook, Reference in Information Services and Introduction 5th edition. The textbook is mandatory, and if you get the 4th edition, that can fly, but you're going to have to figure out which chapters correspond with which chapter titles, okay? And we are also going to, I'll put a link in. We do have a textbook on reserve. So that is an emergency option. And again, I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put the link to the e-reserve in one of these announcements sometime soon. All right. Additional readings are required for this class and are listed under readings in the course schedule. The readings are available through the Ellis Library databases, or some may be on the open web, but this is how this link will take you to the databases. This link will take you specifically to LIS databases. This one will take you to all the databases. And then we do have our own librarian. Our librarian is Kimberly Muller, and she is very easy to work with. You can email her or you can call her, and she knows everything that there is to know about our LIS resources. So if you are having problems with databases or accessing a book or something of that nature, something library related, go ahead and reach out to Kimberly. She has your back. Technology requirements: students will use email. You will do word processing. You will not use spreadsheets in this class. Actually, not too much. You do that more so in 7313, the collection development class. You will do web searching. You will do database searching, and there is interactive courseware through Canvas. So you've got to be able to use all of this stuff. Students will create a LibGuide, and that LibGuide does have a learning curve. However, I always tell people, because people get a little nervous, students get a little nervous about creating the LibGuides. And so what I always tell the students is, hey, if you reached the learning curve of being able to do something like Excel or Photoshop or anything like that, PowerPoint even, if you can make those learning curves, then you can make the learning curve for the LibApps software LibGuide. Okay, you can do that. It's not going to be hard. And if you run into any issues, you can go ahead and look up tutorials and things like that online. So you got this. Just don't worry about it. That's my main thing. You got it. All right, cool. Now, our grading scale, anything 94 or above will get you that A. However, a 94 a lot of times will actually, or a 95 will actually end up with the A minus, because sometimes that does show that you did not put forth the greatest effort, but we'll get back into that in a second. 94 through 100, that represents outstanding work, and you will get an A for that. 83 to 93, that'll get you a B. The B is awarded for less than outstanding performance. However, that is still good performance, whereas a 71 through 82 will get you a C, and a C is awarded for the minimally acceptable performance. If you get below a 71, so a 70 or below, you will get an F. We do not award D's in graduate school, so if you get a 70, you are flunking, and then you are leaving the program, because you cannot fail a class and stay in the program. All right. The professor, that is me. The professor reserves the right to award pluses or minuses depending on exceptional effort or exceptional lack of effort in any grade letter range other than the F range. So yes, what I mean by that also is I do have students who just try to do the bare minimum to get that A. So they will do the discussion board prompts, but they'll be really lazy about it. They'll be lazy about their assignments as well, but they'll do just enough to try to get that A. And if your effort looks like it's just enough to get to that 94 spot, or just enough to try to get an A, you'll probably end up with an A minus. On the other hand, if you have exceptional effort, if you are a shining star, no matter who you are, then you're likely to get an A plus if you put forth that exceptional effort, or if you if you struggled a lot, but I could tell you really put forth the effort and you struggled, but you got a B, but you did a lot to get that B, you'll probably get a B plus. So that's the way that works. And I will be trying to be sensitive to the effort that you all are putting in. Weekly routine. It is recommended that you keep a regular routine in this class. What follows is an example. So I'm actually not going to read that example. You can read that on your own. But what I will say is, again, you are doing 2 weeks of coursework every single week in this class because it is a summer class. You will see a module marked the week 1 module and the week 2 module, but you will see that both of those weeks have the same due date. Okay? That is what I am talking about. So even like your week 3 and your week 4 modules, those are both going to be due in the technical second week of the class. And they are dated so that you can kind of keep up with this. But I do, again, just want you all to be aware of that. This is going to be a lot going on. So actually, I am going to go ahead and come back to that. Because this is a summer class, you have to do 2 weeks of work each week. One strategy that you may want to adopt to conquer this course is to split each week into a few days. So if you can handle that, you can try to do maybe the one of the modules for each week on Monday through Thursday, and then the second module of the week Friday through Sunday. The recorded lecture videos will also be available in my section of the class, and they will be labeled mandatory or optional. They will probably all be optional. All of the check-in videos will probably be optional. This one definitely optional. You should plan to spend about 6 hours per week in this classroom because this is a 3 credit hour course. But also when I say 6 hours per week, I don't mean 6 hours per calendar week. I mean 6 hours per module. So that's actually going to potentially get you into 12 hours each week, each calendar week within this class this summer. So I hope you all are now seeing, what you all have gotten yourselves into. But again, you can handle this. You can handle this. It won't be fun all the time, but you can handle this. And then once you get through it, I know some of you will leave me nasty teaching evaluations, and that is okay. But the only way I can make this course doable within a within a summer period of time is to shave off a few things and then start doing 2 modules per week. So that is what, again, we are having to do. All right. And, also remember, reading and assignments are, of course, on top of this, on top of the 3 hours the 6 hours per week in the classroom. Remember, this is graduate school, not a correspondence course, and reading the announcements, like I said, is mandatory, even if the links and attachments within the announcements are optional. You do have to read those announcements. About the instructor's participation, please know that I am reading your posts, but I will not be responding to all of them. That is when it comes to your discussion board posts. You will want to send me if you want to send me a personal message, you can email me. You can also reach me on Canvas. I know I don't have that in the syllabus there, but it is perfectly fine. In fact, even preferred to reach me on Canvas, but you can email me as well. If I do not respond within 48 to 72 hours, please email me again. Please know I do work a part-time job, at about 28 hours a week as well. So this is a job that is more than full-time. And then on top of a more than full-time job, I actually have also a 28-hour per week part-time job. So I'm very busy. So yes, if you don't get a response to me within 72 hours, please go ahead and email me again. Something may have happened, and I will not take offense to that. If you email me several times in a week, I will try to consolidate my answers to you, and bombarding me with emails will slow down my response time. Some emails require a full keyboard to answer, and I might have read it on my phone and forgotten to flag it or anything like that. So again, if you do not hear from me within 72 hours, just reach out to me again. Late work policy, I have this in here to cover my ass, but it's not really something that I'm a stickler for. So I'm going to read it out loud, and then I'm going to say a few things. So the official late work policy is this. All late work will have a 10% deducted per day penalty up to 5 days, and then it will not be accepted, and you must contact your instructor before you plan to turn in a late assignment unless you are in the hospital or in jail. There is no makeup for missed discussion weeks or assignments not turned in by the due date, And this is a graduate course, so also not a correspondence course. Also, remember, this does not apply to you, however. Sync sessions are mandatory. I can probably take that out. I've decided not to have any sync sessions in the summer. It's just too messy, so don't worry about the sync sessions, okay? All right, now what I'm going to say about this late work policy, however, is I am human, okay? I am human. I understand things come up. So, yes, I do have that written in there in the syllabus to protect myself, but I will say if you got issues, just reach out to me. If you've got things going on, just reach out to me. I am human, I get it, and I will work with you. So yes, I know it says if you're in the hospital or in jail, that can afford you some extra time without having to reach out to me beforehand. But yes, if life gets to life in and you just have to reach out, because you can't do it, you don't have the mental capacity even, just let me know. So things happen. I realize things happen. If you know, the university actually gives you bereavement time anyway if an immediate family member dies. So a parent, a sibling, or a child. If you lose someone like that, you automatically get bereavement time anyway. But even outside of that, again, I'm human. So if your grandparents die, or if your pet dies, or if your friend dies, or if your cousin, aunt, uncle, something like that, just talk to me, just reach out. I will work with you. If you do not have to go to the hospital, but you just have a stomach bug, a 24-hour stomach bug, or you have a, I don't know, a hangover, whatever the case may be, if you are not feeling good, reach out to me. I will work with you, okay? Also, if you are, it doesn't have to be something negative. It does not have to necessarily be something negative. If you are getting married on a Saturday, I am not going to be expecting you to come back on Sunday and turn in your discussion board prompt right away on Sunday. Reach out to me if you have something like that. If you have a family vacation, I know this is a summer class. If you have a family vacation, whatever you've got going on that you think might cause you to be a little late on your assignment, just come to me and ask, okay? The worst that I am going to say is no. So if you have if you have some form of, just anything that you need to pay attention to, that's going to take attention from you, that's going to cause you to turn something in late. If anything is going on, again, just reach out to me. I will probably grant you an extension unless it's something that I find just kind of ridiculous. And even if I find it kind of ridiculous, I'm just going to say, no, I'm not granting you an extension for that. But you can still go ahead and do what you need to do, turn it in, and you'll be all set. All right. Okay, let's move on. So that is again my late work policy. But I again am human, and I will work with you because I want you all to pass. All right, so our course calendar. This is what I was talking about when I told you that, excuse me for 1 second, sorry. All right, let's get back into it. So this is our course calendar, and you will see this kind of mirrored on the modules. So you'll have the modules in this tab here, but you'll also see this content in the syllabus. By the way, when it comes to broken links and that sort of thing, what I want you all to just kind of do is let me know if you come across a broken link either in the syllabus or in a module, because what it is I do check the I've checked the modules already. I've checked the modules to make sure that all the links are still working. I did have to update a few. I've already updated those. Those are up and going. However, even during the semester, a lot of times we do lose some content. Databases lose content. Mizzou lose databases, so forth and so on. So yes, if you notice that there is a broken link for something, just you can put that in the course questions discussion board area. Or you can also just, again, send me a Canvas message or an email. Let me know that that there is a broken link, and I will try to find an alternate link. But I have gone through the links, and so hopefully we won't lose anything during the course. But as I was just saying, each calendar week, we are going to have 2 class weeks, if that makes sense. Again, each calendar week, we are going to have 2 class weeks because it is a condensed summer course. So this is how that's going to look. Week 1, you do your introduction, and again, I've got the dates here. So week 1, you do your introduction for what is reference. This will go from June 2nd to June the 8th. And you will also begin your theories on information seeking and needs. No, I hate information seeking behavior theory. I hate information seeking behavior theory, but the American Library Association requires me to teach that to you all if we want to have our accreditation. So we are going to actually spend 2 class weeks talking about information seeking behavior theory, and it's going to be terrible. I'm going to hate it. You're going to hate me for it, but we're going to get through it in those 2 weeks, and then you are going to match one of the competencies that ALA has for you. So please know, as you are suffering through information seeking behavior theories, that again, I did not want to torture you with it. I was required to do so by the American Library Association. All right, so in your second calendar week, which will be June the 9th through June the 15th, you will have 2 class weeks, week 3 and week 4. Week 3 is, again, part 2 of information seeking behavior theory. And so we'll finish that up and get through that and move on. After we get through the information seeking behavior theory, you are going to want to mention it at least casually within your Wikipedia edit assignment, but it's not something that we're going to dwell on too much once we get through those modules. And then in week 4, your class week 4, which will be, again, calendar week number 2. Class week number 4 is communicating as a reference professional. So how to do the reference interview and some other things of that nature, okay? But how to be a reference librarian and how to communicate like one. Give me one moment. All right, so your third week of class, which will add up to being your third calendar week, which will add up to being your weeks 5 and week 6 as far as class weeks. First, week 5, online and virtual reference. That is going to be from June 16 to June 22nd, as is week number 6. So virtual and online reference, which this is a growing area. It's been an area that we've actually been dealing with in libraries since at least the early 1990s. But of course, COVID has taken us into a very, very different phase of that now. And a lot of people have now grown to prefer the remote services. So there are competencies that also come from remote services, so online and virtual reference. Week number 6, reference materials and information literacy. So we'll get into such things as selecting and evaluating your reference materials and things like that. Reference materials being a lot of times your ready reference things, including dictionaries, atlases, encyclopedias, those sorts of things, gazetteers, blah, blah, blah. But those aren't the only reference materials. And then certainly when you get into specialized libraries, like a business library may have a particular business dictionary. Medical libraries have medical term things in their reference areas as well as other things. So, yeah, especially when you get into specialized libraries, the materials that you're going to have in your reference area are going to vary, okay? Let's see. For the 4th calendar week, which will be the week 7 and 8 of classwork, you will have from June the 23rd to June the 29th. First, we will have for week 7, that's the topic there is reference services for children and young adults meaning teenagers, basically, or even people into maybe like college undergrad years and things like that. They have particular things that we have to do with them. And then Wikipedia and the internet will be week number 8. I know that seems like a strange type of module there, but believe me, there is a method to Dr. Jace's madness. And what I will say is I'll expand on this a little bit more in a check-in video as we get closer to the Wikipedia edit assignment being due. But what I'm going to say at this time is that a lot of librarians who precede the emergence of the internet, I did not. My first librarian job was in 2008, so the internet and high-speed internet even was already full force by then. But believe it or not, there are still librarians out there who were working in the 70s, 80s, and 90s Not so much the 70s anymore, but there actually are still a few hanging on. And they will tell you about how things used to be. They will tell you about how things used to be when, prior to the emergence of the internet, when people came to the reference desk with reference questions, they would start out, the reference librarian would start out with encyclopedias to gather information to then go on to figure out what they needed to do in order to find the needed information. Encyclopedias now have been, for that particular purpose on the reference desk most of the time, encyclopedias have now been replaced with Wikipedia. So there is a whole boatload of things that go along with that, and I will talk about that more as we get closer to that module. Week number 5, calendar week number 5, will be when you do class weeks 9 and 10. Number 9 is going to be search techniques. It'll be from June 30th to July 6th. So you'll learn about some different search techniques and things like that, and learn about the searchability of these various databases. Okay. And then in week number 10, that is when we will go to reference materials in a little more depth. In week number 10, we will start out class week number 10, that is, which again will be calendar week number 5. We'll start out with bibliographies, encyclopedias, and Ready Reference. Ready Reference will also include, again, atlases, dictionaries, that sort of thing. Week number 11 and week number 12 will be in calendar week number 6. Week number 11 will be, again, reference materials. Again, actually, we'll have that, I think, for a few modules. Yeah, so reference materials, again, in week number 11. This time we're doing databases, indexes, geographies, biographies. We got dictionaries and manuals in there as well, but we'll cover that in Ready Reference too. Number 12, week number 12, health, law, and business stuff, and that gets very specific. I'm a former business librarian. I was a business librarian for Coastal Carolina University down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so I can tell you, yes, business librarianship requires a very specific skill set. Law librarianship does as well. Health librarianship does as well. So if you learn one of those skill sets, that can definitely go toward your job security in the future. And I will say that you will have opportunities while you are in this program to learn the skill sets for health librarians and business librarians. I actually teach the business librarian course. I do hope that some of you will take that. It will be offered again in the spring of 2027. All right, calendar week number 7. That will be when we do weeks number 13 and 14, class weeks 13 and 14. So that will be July the 14th through the 20th. And what you were going to have then is government information for week 13, and then STEM reference for week 14. Finally, for that last week, week 15, you are only doing one module in the 8th week of class because you do have your semester-long project that's going to be coming due. So week 15 is going to be managing and planning for the future. Okay, and you have all of your readings. They either come from RIS, which is your textbook, reference and information services, or you will have these readings that you should be able to pull either from the modules, or they'll either be stored in the modules. The modules, again, will be here under the modules tab. They're either stored in the modules, or they are linked out to a database, or linked out to somewhere on the net. Okay. All right, and that's how that works. We will scroll down past those weeks now and get into the other stuff. This the stuff here is more so boilerplate. You will see this on pretty much any syllabus at Mizzou, but I still have to run through it, and I still have to include it in your contract or in your syllabus. So, first of all, help available. If you are having any technical difficulties, you may email the help desk at helpdesk@missouri.edu, or you can contact Do It Services. Pretty much everyone has a cell phone these days. If you do need toll free, it's 866-241-5619. And if you have a cell phone and want to get a quicker response, if you are outside of the Columbia area, you can still call 573-882-5000. Give me one moment. All right, so help resources available. I just went through that. Decreasing the risk of COVID. I have to put that in there, but we are not meeting face-to-face in this class. So COVID I think and hope that at some point they're actually going to let us take that out of the syllabus, but not yet. All right, academic integrity, don't cheat. Academic inquiry, course discussions, and privacy. The main thing that I want you all to know out of this is what happens in this class stays in this class. I don't care if you don't like something that your classmate says. Do not put your classmate on blast. Do not screenshot anything that your classmate does and put it on social media. Do not do anything that will compromise your classmate's ability to find employment after they finish this program. If I catch any of you doing that, that is an automatic F. Do not play with me. That is an automatic F. If I catch any of you doxing classmates or sharing anything in this class outside of this class, there are FERPA laws against that sort of thing. So please be mindful of that. Please, however, also know that that only applies to your classmates. When it comes to me as an instructor, I have to follow a different set of rules. So if I say or do something that you find inappropriate, you can go ahead and put that on social media. You can take it to Title IX. You can do whatever you got to do. Okay, but I am going to, of course, avoid putting you in a situation where you feel the need to do that. All right, because we need to have a good time in this class this semester, and I intend to do so. All right, FERPA, privacy. You are entitled to privacy. And so there are certain things that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to share what grade you got in this class without permission. I'm not going to share your info or anything that you tell me. Anything that you tell me is just between me and you, unless certain things happen, such as you violate the student code of conduct, which I have had a student do that before. I have had a student threaten me, and that was a violation of the code of conduct. So, of course, that conversation did not stay between me and that student. And I will even say that was, quite frankly, for the best for that student's safety as well, because they did not know who they were messing with. All right. But yeah, so there are going to be some things that rise to the occasion of losing that protected status of just being between me and you. But otherwise, for the most part, whatever you say to me is just between me and you. And you either need to have a FERPA waiver, or I need to ask permission in order to share it beyond us. All right, intellectual pluralism. We do appreciate intellectual diversity in this program. So by all means, share your opinions. Please make sure that those opinions are quote unquote appropriate. So you don't need to pepper your opinions with, ad hominems toward people and things like that. But outside of that, your opinions are welcome, and your opinions help make this class go stronger. Mental health. Please do not suffer in silence. The University of Missouri is committed to supporting the well-being of students through integrated care with a wide range of services to help students succeed. We do have a counseling center that offers professional mental health care, and you can find the best approach to treatment based on your needs. If you need to reach out to the counseling center, please do so at that number that you see there, 573-882-6601. And then also just please keep 988 in mind as well. So 988 is a mental health crisis number that you can call if you are going through anything. There are going to be times when there might not be somebody available at the counseling center over at Mizzou, but then you can call. And 988 is, I believe, nationwide. I know it's in most states, but I believe it's nationwide. Wherever you live in the United States, call 988 if you're having a breakdown. Students reach out to me during mental health lows as well, and that's perfectly fine. I understand that. I'm here for you, and we will try to get you back to where you need to be in order to be successful. But it is good to talk to trained therapists when you can, and so you do have the Mizzou Counseling Center, and you also have 988 for that option. All right, online etiquette. Just also please be aware that please be aware that in the online environment, there are things that you may think are funny, and then they're not interpreted as funny. They're not received as funny. Things can be taken a lot differently in an online environment where you don't have the sense of vocal tone and things like that can kind of weigh into whether or not things are quote unquote so bad. All right. And then when it comes to accommodations and religious holidays and things of that nature. So, I am not somebody who gets into the meat and potatoes of all that. So if you find yourself Well, yeah, if you need an accommodation, I know that most of our holidays on the Mizzou calendar are Christian related holidays. If you are Jewish, if you are Muslim, if you are Hindu, if you are Shinto, whatever you may be, if there are holidays related to your faith, I'm not even going into this God of religions. I'm just going to take your word for it, okay? Because it is not worth my time to go into that God of religions. Quite frankly, if you tell me that there's some observance in your faith and that observance doesn't really exist, that's between you and your deity, okay? I'm going to take you at face value and I'm going to make that accommodation for you. Now, even if you are atheist, agnostic, free thinker, whatever, and you want to do like a Festivus for the rest of us because you don't actually have a real holiday for yourself, again, just talk to me. We'll figure it out. If there's a national atheist day of not believing in stuff, go ahead and tell me about that and I'll give you, extension if you need it. You know, no need to be too particular or too difficult here. All right, non-discrimination policy. So I will not and do not have any desire to discriminate against any of you based on race, color, national origin, ancestry, religion, sex, including gender, whether or not you are pregnant, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, protected veteran status, or any other status as protected by state or federal law. Okay. Discrimination includes any form of unequal treatment, such as denial of opportunities, harassment, and violence. So yes, you will get your opportunities from me. You have paid to be here. You were accepted into this program, and I like to be able to say that I am helping prepare the future generation of librarians, so let's do it. I am not going to discriminate against you, but if you feel discriminated against me, you can call the Title IX office, 573-882-3880. And you may also make an anonymous report if you'd like. All right. And then if you are a survivor, we have some survivor resources right there for you. And finally, students with disabilities. Please, if you have a disability, just contact the Student Disabilities Office and start working on an accommodations plan. There are students who just bypass that step, even though it's in the syllabus and even though I go over it. And then there's something that they end up not being able to do because of a disability, or they run into some difficulty and they want me to make the accommodations. Well, listen, that's why we have a center for students with disabilities, is because those are the people who know exactly how to make the right accommodations, okay? So register with them and don't just depend on me to make the proper accommodations for you. Actually go through the proper channels, all right? And I'll leave it at that. You all can read the boilerplate for yourself to get a little bit more information. All right, if you want to take a break, this is a great time to take a break because we are done going through the syllabus, and now what we're going to do is go through the assignments. So take a break and then I'll meet you back. All right, I hope you enjoyed your little break, and now let's go into the assignments so that I can talk a little bit about what's going to be expected of you. Now, there are going to be check-in videos that actually get a little bit deeper into these assignments. So right now, this is going to be rather superficial. We need to kind of get this covered in about 20 minutes or so of video time. And again, I hope you sped this up and then it'll be even shorter. But yeah, we've got to kind of speed up. So I will go into more depth about these assignments as we get closer to the time when the assignments are due. All right. And I'll do that in check-in videos. So assignments. All right, let's start with the syllabus quiz. Again, this is worth 5 points. This summer they are worth 5 points. They are actually worth and yeah, you can throw kind of anything in there. Again, once you turn in your answers, once you turn in your answers, Canvas is probably going to score you at a 0 out of 5 on this quiz. Please do not bug out. Again, I go over and review all of these quizzes. I correct them. Canvas is very precise in what it will and will not accept. So just because Canvas says you're wrong doesn't mean you're wrong. And there is a human that needs to come in and correct Canvas, and that human is me, and I will do that. This quiz is only worth 1 point during the regular semester, but it's worth 5 points here. So make sure you are aware of that. It is worth a lot more points this time around because you all don't have the sync sessions like they do in the spring and the fall. So this will count for more. Your unassignment will also count for more. And so you do have to pay better attention really in what you're doing and really ace this content in the summer because you will not have those sync sessions to attend and make those points up. That will not be available to you since you elected for the summer class. Okay. All right. So you'll take that quiz. It'll be due on June the 8th at 11:59 p.m. All right. And also, by the way, I will say that the 11:59 p.m. is technically centered on Central Time here in the United States. However, what I will say is that, again, even if you are, like, if you turn it in at 11:59 West Coast time, I know I've probably got at least one person on the West Coast. I always do. Even if you turn it in at 11:59 West Coast time, which would be 1:59 my time, again, that grace period is going to take care of you. So don't sweat that too much. All right. So don't worry about the time zones too much. Virtual reference practice and paper. This is what you need your partner for, and this is why you need to get partnered up quick. So again, do that discussion board prompt as quickly as you can. That introduction discussion board prompt as quickly as you can. And so what you'll do is you and a partner will work together, and I'm going to try to get you a partner, if possible, in the same metro area as you, but definitely whenever possible. And usually this is possible for all but like 2 or 3 people in the class. That's typically how it works out. I'm going to try to get you somebody in your time zone. So that's why you need to tell us where you are located so that I can get you in the right time zone. Okay. At least tell me what state you're in. And if your state has 2 different time zones, Florida, Tennessee are examples of states that have 2 different time zones. If you are in a state that has 2 different time zones, then I need to know your city as well. But it's good to give me your city, especially if you're in Missouri. I need you to give me your city or your metro area because most of you are in Missouri, and I try to get you with somebody in your metro area in Missouri. It's for networking purposes. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the future. But yeah, so what you're going to do is once you have a partner, you're going to take turns. On one turn, you're going to be the librarian and your partner is going to be the patron. Then your partner is going to become the patron, and then your partner is going to become the librarian. You're going to become the patron, and y'all are just going to act out answering questions and doing this and getting the experience of having answered a reference question as a reference librarian. You're going to tell me in the reflection part, how you felt about it. Did it make you nervous? Were there things that you're going to look to improve, so forth and so on. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit more once we actually get closer to the due date. And this one is due at the end of June. Well, close to the end of June, but June 22nd. All right. I skipped an assignment. You do have the unassignment that's due on June the 15th. Sorry about that. Let's see. There we go. You've actually got 3 discussion board prompts, including the database discussion unassignment, that are due on June the 15th. So be mindful of that. And so on June the 15th, you will turn in your database unassignment, and you'll turn it in as a discussion board prompt. The reason you're turning this in as a discussion board post is because this is peer-to-peer learning. So basically what's going to happen is each of you are going to do this. You're going to follow this example. The format is here. You'll just replace the information I have for cables here with the information for whatever database you were assigned. And you're going to do all of these fields and do all the fields, including the of note field. Do every single field. Okay. And once you do every single field and do that, once they're all turned in, I'm going to offer you all the option to read your classmates' work, since it's going to be in the discussion board area. And if you read their work, that is a great quick way to learn about these different databases and what they do. So there, again, is a method to my madness. Again, you're going to just kind of copy these fields and everything and come up with the same type of information, but you're going to do it for your particular database. And you will see as you scroll down, you all are assigned databases. If you want to, now, first of all, if you either were assigned no database, if you'd like to trade with if you'd like to trade with a classmate, if you weren't assigned a database, if you were assigned more than one, or if you were assigned the same one as a classmate, anything abnormal like that, please reach out to me and I'll get you fixed. But as you'll see in this first comment here, this first post, which is from me, you'll see that all of you have a database assigned. Okay, now you can switch. I will give you the option of, again, if you want to trade, you can. Or if you just want to do a different database. Most of these are academic library databases because I had to go with things that I knew you all would have access to. So everything here pretty much is something that Mizzou has access to. The only exception really is going to be Brayton Smith here. Unlisted database of your choice available at your public library. It cannot be something already assigned to a classmate. So it cannot be any of these. But there are a lot of databases that you'll only find in public libraries, such as Auto Reference Repair Center. That's something that academic libraries don't really need to do a lot with. It's an automobile repair database. So you really only find that in public libraries. Chilton's as well. That's also an auto repair database. That's also in Chilton's. And there are several other things, Duolingo, Rosetta Stone, those types of language things. You tend to find those also only in public libraries. And so also Ancestry, they have like a library database that you'll find in some public libraries. I say all of that to say, again, that if you want to switch to a public library database, by all means, reach out to me and ask. And if you plan to work in a public library, that may be recommended. Now, some of these are going to be databases that you'll find at public libraries and academic libraries. So Academic Search Premier, PsycInfo, JSTOR, ERIC, those are Consumer Health Complete. Those are things that you're going to find at your public libraries as well. But there are going to be things like IBIS World, probably also Mintel. Some of these things are only going to be available at your academic libraries, or usually going to be available at academic libraries. So yeah, that's just another thing that you kind of have to be mindful of. And so again, if you want to be a public librarian, so let's say that Victoria wants to be a public librarian, but she's got IBIS World, and she's like, well, I'm probably not going to use IBIS World in the public library. That's more of an academic library thing. And then Victoria can be like, so instead of doing that, can I do Duolingo? My library has Duolingo in its public library, and that's something we get a lot of mileage out of. I'm going to say yes, sure. Okay. So just talk to me. The main thing is just talk to me. If you talk to me, we can get things worked out, but you gotta stand up and speak, and we can talk things out. All right. Other assignments. So we have gone through the quiz, we have gone through virtual reference practice, and we've gone through the unassignment. The next thing will be the Wikipedia edit assignment. Now again, the Wikipedia edit assignment and the virtual reference practice papers, both of those I am going to be checking for proper APA. Okay, and there's going to be an APA video next week. All right. So I'm going to be checking for proper APA. With the Wikipedia edit assignment, again, Wikipedia has become a big deal. I'm going to have a whole check-in video probably devoted to this particular thing. So Wikipedia edit assignment, you are going to find a Wikipedia article. It won't necessarily have to be an article that needs additional sources. I'm going to let you all pursue whatever you want to pursue. But you're going to, you're going to find an article that you wish to edit. You're going to make a substantial edit. And then again, you're going to do the report and reflection for that. All right. By the way, pretty much every assignment that you have in here, the virtual reference assignment, the Wikipedia assignment, the LibGuide, and the semester-long project, those 4 major assignments can be, you should only have 1 per class. So pick 1. But you should have 1 assignment from this class in SLO 4 for your ePortfolio, okay? So save those assignments and be ready to submit 1 for your ePortfolio. All right. And then we've got a rubric here. I'll go through the rubric a little bit more in depth when we get closer to time, and I have a check-in video for that particular assignment. The LibGuide. So the LibGuide is the big baby, and I'm not going to go through this rubric, but I am going to show you this rubric. This rubric is huge, and we're going to come back to the Wikipedia. We're going to come back to the LibGuide as well. But this LibGuide rubric is huge. Look at all that stuff in it, okay? So that is a big deal, and it's going to be something that you're just going to have to be prepared for. Now, a few things that I do want to say about that. First of all, it is not cheating. You are allowed to, if you have a coworker that knows how to do LibGuides, is really good at doing LibGuides, anything like that. If you have a coworker that falls into that category, by all means, they cannot do it for you. That will be cheating. If they do it for you, that is cheating. And if I find out, you're going to fail. But outside of that, if you have a coworker that's good at making LibGuides and that coworker is like, I will walk through a LibGuide process with you. Because here's the thing, with a lot of library work is learned not on your own. A lot of library work is learned through you shadowing somebody. You learn reference by shadowing people. You learn how to use these different databases by watching tutorials, by shadowing coworkers, things like that. So it is okay for you to, if you want, what you can do is you can have a coworker just kind of sit beside you and walk you through the process. You need to be on the computer actually putting the LibGuide together, but you can have a coworker sit beside you and say, hey, do this, now do this, now do that, because that is how you learn in libraries a lot of the time anyway. All right. Okay, so that rubric, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that rubric as it gets closer to time to turn that assignment in, but I'm not going to belabor that point right now. And then finally, your semester-long project is already available. In the spring and fall, they're usually not available for a few weeks, but it looks like we have not lost any of our resources that we had in the spring. So I'm able to reuse the spring 2025 semester-long project file for summer 2025. So you all are going to be using the spring 2025 file, even though this is summer 2025. It's that same file, but the reason you're using this file is because we still have access to all these resources. And again, the semester-long project will be due at 11:59 p.m. on Friday, July the 25th. That'll be your final assignment. And after that, you can kick your feet up, have a beer or have some wine or something, and just applaud yourself for accomplishing something. Applaud yourself for completing something. All right. Now, I do want to just very quickly go into, well, first of all, I'm going to go into the introductions thing. This is the one that you all need to do ASAP, because this is, again, how I get you paired up with a partner. All right. So, and I explain all this here. Use the space to introduce yourself using your name and location in the subject line, if there is one. And tell us what you hope to get out of this class. Also tell us a little bit about your family or one interesting thing about yourself. I use these intros to assign you a partner in your time zone. So I recommend you completing this ASAP so that I can get you a partner that you can more easily schedule your meeting with. When possible, I will pair you with somebody in your metro area so that you can meet in person if you wish. Remember, networking is the name of the game in the library field and everything, because it is a small field. So you need to start networking at the student level. What better way to do that than to start networking with your classmates? And I'm still in touch with people. I went to library school from 2006 to 2008. I'm still in touch with people that I went to library school with nearly 20 years ago. I started library school 19 years ago, and I'm still in touch with a lot of those people. Okay. All right. So just know that. There's a chance to build your network at the student level by possibly cultivating an ongoing professional relationship with a classmate. So if you're able to make a friend with a classmate while you're in this class, please go ahead and do that as well. No shame in making a friend, and a lot of times these friends will be career-long friends, okay? So all that stuff there. All right, so that's the discussion board prompt that you need to finish as soon as possible, and if you don't finish it by June the 8th, on June 9th, I'm just going to pair you up with whoever, and it's probably not going to go that well. All right, but as you'll see, when you go into these various things, you have, well, let me say this first. You only have 7, and this is true during the spring and fall semesters as well. There are only 7 discussion board prompts in this class. There are not 15. There are only 7. All right, and the reason why there are only 7 is because that gives you time to work on that semester-long project. This is the only class that I teach where I have a project that people are working on throughout the entire semester. So in order to work on that throughout the entire semester, you are going to have a break from all these discussion board prompts. And what you're going to find is that you're going to have a lot of times 2 discussion board prompts due per week. So you're only going to have 2 discussion board prompts that are going to be due in July. And so you can turn your attention in July to that semester-long project. So discussion prompt number 6 is going to be due on July 6th, and then prompt 7 is going to be due on July 20th. Those are going to be the only dates that you have a discussion board prompt in July. And so, yes, in July, definitely kick up on that semester-long project. Again, the semester-long project is already available to you. This is an 8-week class, and you have 40 questions that you have to do on the semester-long project. So if you start this first week, start answering questions this first week on that semester-long project, if you answer 5 questions per week, you will have it done in time. Okay? So that's how that maths. But outside of that, also, I do just want you all to be aware. First of all, yes, you get every week, well, every discussion board prompt, I should say, every discussion board prompt gives you an opportunity to earn 2 points. You have to do something to get both points. So in order to get both points, you have to first do an original post. That'll get you 1 point. And then also you have to reply to at least 1 classmate, and you will get a point for replying to a classmate. So you need to have 1 post and 1 reply for each discussion board prompt. And if you do that, you will get 2 points per prompt. There are 14 prompts. There are 7 prompts, so that works out to 14 points. All right. And I do have that note pretty much on every, the only discussion that I don't have it on is discussion number 2. So I believe discussion number 2, because discussion number 2 is a little different. Yeah. Okay. So discussion prompt number 2, this is one that's, going to be worth your time, worth your mention as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out and talk about it a little bit on its own. The modules labeled weeks 2 and 3 introduce you to theories of information seeking. The articles are heavily research-based. Read them for overarching theoretical concepts. Concepts of information seeking are important to reference services because it gives us additional insight into our patrons who are our information end users. Okay, but what's going on here is during this time, this is actually going to be one where you should have 3 posts. So during this time, you'll have 2 original posts and 1 reply. During this time, pay attention to your own information-seeking behaviors. Carry around a piece of paper for 2 days or a track on your smartphone, and record several instances of seeking information from the time you have an information need to fulfilling it to the end when it is met or unmet, and relate your behavior to both information-seeking models from the class and also from the readings. All right, what did you learn? Okay. Post your 2 self-studies here, and then at least 1 response to a classmate. So as you can see, 2 self-studies, 1 response to a classmate for a total of 3. But that's how you get 2 points for this one. Have both of your posts up by the due date. And this will have to be condensed because it's summertime, okay? So that's how all that works. Let me pause for a second and see if there's anything else that I need to mention. All right, my people, I think that is pretty much it as far as the stuff that I needed to go over for the course overview as far as course content. But now I do want to tell you all a little bit about myself and make a little caveat there. First of all, okay, so I am, again, Jason Alston. People call me Dr. Jace. Some people just call me Jace. Some people call me Jason. Some people call me Dr. Alston. Whatever the case may be, I'm not a stickler. As you all know, librarianship is not the most formal of professions, so people do get pretty informal, and that's just what it is. And so, yes, with Dr. Jace, it's just informal. It's just a laid-back way of how people communicate in this field and how I am communicated with. All right. So I have been a librarian since 2008. My first librarian job was at UNC Greensboro. I was there first in Greensboro, North Carolina. I was their first ever diversity resident librarian. I held that job for 2 years. Then I was a public reference librarian in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for 1.5 years. After that, I went to Columbia, South Carolina to earn my PhD from the University of South Carolina. I was there for 6 years, I believe. And during that time, I also worked as a community college librarian at Midlands Technical College in Columbia, South Carolina. And then after that, I worked as a business librarian for a year and a half at Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Then I had a terrible idea and decided that I was going to leave Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I was going to leave the sun and the great weather and the beach, the water, the food, all the great things. I said to myself, I am not using my PhD in this role, and I want to use my PhD. So I got this job with Mizzou where I am using the PhD, and I moved to Kansas City, and here I am. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So yes, I am stationed again in Kansas City. I've been here since 2018. I was promoted to associate teaching professor last year. So a little bit more money in my pocket and longer contracts, but I am still not tenured because I am not tenure track. So that just is what it is. But as far as the things that I teach reference, I teach intellectual freedom, cultural heritage, academic libraries, and business librarianship. Those are the main things on my course rotation. And as far as my research, currently my research does deal mostly, to be quite blatant with it, my research for the most part deals with Black library users and Black library workers. Okay, that's pretty much what I have professional development in other areas, but that's kind of where I'm focused right now. I'm originally from Soul City, North Carolina, and that is a real place. You can Google that. It was founded by civil rights leader Floyd McKissick. I also lived in the Richmond, Virginia area in my formative years. So I talk about all those things quite a bit. And yeah. Hobbies, my main hobby is martial arts. I haven't really had a chance to do martial arts recently because of a second job that I had to pick up, but this job comes first, and so I am going to be here for you all and on it as best as I possibly can. Probably the last thing that I'm going to mention tonight is that I do want you all to, all right, I'm just going to put it out here. And this is something that I do with every class. I don't want y'all to feel singled out or feel weirded out by it or anything like that. But this is something that I've just had to say to my classes as somebody who moved here from the South. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm Black. As you can see, I am Black. The reason I say this is because there are some things related to my teaching evaluations that I think in the past were associated with my race. And so I am going to say a few words about that. Because I want us to cultivate an understanding. I want to understand who you all are. I want you all to understand who I am. And I want us to reach whatever common ground we can based on our understandings of each other. So, I am not from the Midwest. Most of you all are. And the issue with the Midwest is that outside of cities, outside of urban areas, you tend to not see Black people in the Midwest, just to be quite honest with you. In the cities, yes, in Kansas City, in Columbia, St. Louis, of course. But when you get to, I know a lot of you are from small town Missouri or small town Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, whatever. When you get out of like Iowa, for instance, when you're outside of Des Moines, outside of Iowa City, outside of Waterloo and a few other places, you just don't really see Black people that often. And so what this has come with, and something that I didn't really know how it was going to affect me until I moved out here, is actually kind of uncommon in the South for people to go all the way through college without ever having a Black instructor. That's very rare in the South, because in the South, because of plantations and slavery in the rural areas and things like that, unlike a lot of the rest of the country, in the South, you even have Black people in the small towns and in the rural areas and things like that. So when I was teaching in the South, my teaching evaluations were great. When I was working on my PhD at the University of South Carolina, I was also an adjunct professor for the University of South Carolina. That's how I paid for my PhD. And my teaching evaluations down in South Carolina were great. I was myself, and as myself, I'm a I'm a rural black man. I'm a rural Southern black man. That's what I am. And people in the South are used to that type of thing. So people were used to my vibe and things like that when I taught at the University of South Carolina. When I moved to Missouri at first and started teaching for the University of Missouri, at first I was conducting things the exact same way I did in South Carolina because that's all I knew. I was just who I was. Again, rural black Southerner. Well, what I will say is that my teaching evaluations were terrible. And there were so many comments about people saying, he's abrasive, he's aggressive, he's defensive, I don't feel comfortable asking him questions, these sorts of things. And my first semester, that hurt my feelings, and I was like, where is this coming from? But then I had a few racist incidents happen to me in Missouri, and I'm like, okay, I'm not in the same, I'm not in the Carolinas anymore. Things aren't the same way they used to be. And so when I got my teaching evaluations back in the spring, that spring 2019 semester, they were, again, bad, and people were saying the exact same things. But this time it didn't hurt my feelings. This time I recognized this is racial bias, okay? And sure enough, so what I did was I just, again, Midwest, and I spoke to one of my colleagues about it, and I was just like, okay, you're going to have to get in here and do your best possible Wayne Brady impersonation. That's the only way they're not going to be nervous around you, because a lot of these Midwesterners are nervous around black people, are not used to black people, so forth and so on. So sure enough, once I quote unquote whitened my persona, started doing the whole Wayne Brady, Bryant Gumbel type thing, sure enough, my teaching evaluations shot up. And now my teaching evaluations, there's research that shows that teaching evaluations are racist, sexist, and ableist. But sure enough, once I seemed, I guess, less black to people in the Midwest, I was more palatable and my teaching evaluations went up. So what I'm going to say to that is the reason I told you all that is because I want you all to challenge yourselves. I'm going to meet you halfway. The saying is when in Rome, right? So because I've had other, including white instructors, I've had people say, no, you shouldn't have to change who you are just because your students are racist. And technically they're right, but also the other piece to that is, hey, when people move to the South from other areas, which happens a lot, I expect them to get used to the nuances of the South and operate like they're in the South. And so if that's my mentality related to the South, again, I'm from North Carolina, then I have to have that same mentality when it comes to people from the Midwest. So these Midwesterners, I'm sure they're probably thinking to themselves, when in Rome, you do what you need to do. And so I've done that. So I have softened my approach. I've softened my tone. I, just all the things. I try basically to act like a Midwesterner. I've observed Midwesterners and I try to act like them. And yeah, now my teaching evaluations are higher because of that. But if any of you find yourselves thinking, I'm not comfortable asking him questions, I'm not comfortable emailing him, I find him abrasive, I find him aggressive, I find him defensive. If you find yourself thinking these things, ask yourself whether it's me or whether you're reading stuff into who I am based on your own biases, okay? That's what I want you all to just kind of be aware of, because again, and in the South, people knew that I was a nice guy. People knew that they could ask me questions. In the South, people were always describing me as warm and all of these things, and I don't really get those types of descriptions here in the Midwest. But I'm still the same person. So again, what I want you all to do is maybe challenge yourselves, because some of you are going to, I know that I am probably the first black teacher, even in grad school. I'm probably the first black teacher that a lot of you have ever had if you were in the Midwest and then went to college in the Midwest and that sort of thing. So I'm understanding of that. I'm understanding that this can be a new position for you, a new situation for you in there. And so there's some pivoting that you have to do. I understand that. I'll work with you on that. But I want you to work with me too. Work with me, meet me halfway, and, and we can have a successful semester. And also I want to say two other things. First of all, don't feel bad. If it does seem like through your own self-reflection, if it does seem that, yes, you do have some anti-black bias, For one thing, just know that anti-black bias is common. That doesn't mean it's okay, but research has shown that even black people have anti-black bias against other black people. I say that to say, you know, again, let this be a moment of growth for you. Let this be a moment where you are saying to yourself, hey, yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable because he's not the type of person I'm used to, but I might have a black boss or a black supervisor one day. I might have a black patron one day, and I've got to figure out how to communicate with people who are different from me. Okay. And if you can do that, then you are already well on your way to growing and becoming more tolerant, becoming easier to work with, all those various things. And that's what it's not about just learning facts. Education is about getting prepared for this workforce. And that is another way to get prepared is through experiences, having experiences with people that you're not used to. And so you've got that opportunity here. The second thing that I want to bring up is you are allowed to, The second thing that I want to just bring up really quickly is that I've had to deal with bias issues of my own, and we all do. We all come with bias. And so I do want you all to just be able to freely talk about your bias without and interrogate yourself on your bias without getting into feeling, oh, you're a bad person and things like that. So, you know, I will say that, yeah, there are biases I've had to overcome. I've had to overcome gender biases, and I still find myself saying a few ableist things every now and then. And, I want to get better about that in particular, because it does seem like a lot of people on the left are, they're okay with ableism as long as the target is a target that they find distasteful. So like, I'll use as an example, I found Jasmine Crockett's comments on the governor of Texas, calling him Governor Hot Wheels. I found that to be ableist, but the left cheered it on. And where I am, I'm the type of person that thinks, okay, either it's bad or it's not. It's not bad just depending on who it's aimed at when it comes to something like that. If you're being ableist, that's just bad. Okay. So yeah, I've got ableist biases that I still feel come up every now and then, and so I have to conquer that. And so we all have things that we're working through. So never feel that you're a bad person because of your biases. Your biases don't make you bad, they make you human. All right. And I think I'm going to leave it right there. Again, we'll talk about the assignments in more depth and things like that as the semester goes on. There'll be other check-in videos. So right now we can leave this one right here. I am Dr. Jace, and welcome to the start of this race. I'll see you in the discussion boards and in next week's check-in video. Until then, ta-ta.